Hey there, welcome to the Brighton Chamber Podcast. My name is Grant LaFave, and I'm one of the studio engineers here at Speakeasy Podcast Network in Brighton. I'm usually the person behind the glass in the booth, sort of making shows happen, but today I get to fill in for Rob Johnson to talk with Mike from Mitten Junk Removal. Mike, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks a lot. Excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. So you work in and around Livingston County.
Yep.
So talk to me a little bit about the junk business. What do you guys do? What's a typical day?
I mean, wow, that's a good question. I would say that no day is typical in the junk removal business. So I mean, a good way to say it is like we kind of start where your residential trash collection ends. You know, so anything that your garbage company doesn't pick up is where we can help you out. So that starts at like a single appliance removal or furniture removal. You know, you got an old couch or something that you need to get rid of. You can't throw it out of the curb. All the way up to entire like property and estate cleanouts. We work with a lot of commercial partners. So, you know, if you have stuff that you need to get rid of, you got a basement full of stuff, you got a garage full of stuff, we get involved with all kinds of that. And we'll go and like we handle like boats. We'll take care of old boats. We take care of old hot tubs. We do some light demo too. So we'll demo fences and decks, sheds. We do a lot of sheds and that kind of stuff. So, you know, the beauty of it is, you know, we're kind of a consumer society and there's a lot of throwaway stuff and sometimes there's not outlets for it. And I think that's where we come in and we can specialize is helping you get rid of it in a short amount of time and getting it to an appropriate outlet for disposal or recycling and whatnot.
Awesome. So speaking of throwing things out, when things get thrown out, they don't just go into the ether. So usually they would go into a landfill, but I understand that you guys try to do things a little bit differently. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I mean, when you're going through, particularly if we're doing like a property or an estate clean out, you know, like there can be a whole lot of different types of items that are in a house and not all of them are necessarily junk at the time. So we try to do our best to keep things out of the landfills whenever possible. So when we're going through a home or just doing a junk removal project, we sort out things into different categories. So like one of the categories is going to be things that are potentially donatable, you know, so if you got a couch that's still in good shape, you know, there's like cabinets, you know, shelving and stuff like that's in good shape. We'll take that to a variety of different places depending on where we're doing the work. So we'll do donations at like Salvation Army or Goodwill. But we also have partnerships with some other organizations that are local here to the community. Like Tammy Cromer is a part of a nonprofit up in Flint called Clara's Hope, and they support foster children. So they like give us a list of things that they're looking for the foster homes and whatnot. And if we come across them on a junk removal job and we can bring them up to them, then we'll take them, that kind of stuff. Or we also partner with another organization called Tools for Veterans, owned by Justin Billard out in Howell and the Tanger Outlet. So we were super excited when we met Justin because, you know, almost every place we go to clean out has got tools. There's tools and garages, you know, like everybody, I mean, I don't know. If you're a guy like me, you just collect tools over the course of your lifetime, you know? So, and we would have no outlet for those before we met Justin. It was either a thing where if myself or my partner, Austin, if neither of us needed the tool per se, we were taking it to the scrapyard, you know, but now what we can do is take it to him. They clean them up and they support a veteran cause every quarter. So they'll resell it and then they take a portion of their profits to support veteran causes. So like as soon as I saw him on the news, I was like, all right, another outlet to keep things out of the landfill, right? So we'll do those donations and that sort of thing. We also do an awful lot of recycling. So we have a relationship with Recycle Livingston and Howell. It's like a mile from my house, which is awesome. And they handle everything from glass to cardboard, to plastics, to styrofoam, you know, electronics, all kinds of stuff that you could want to recycle, they handle. So we pull all that kind of stuff out of the jobs and try to make sure that it gets recycled appropriately, along with like any kind of metals or electronics. Like if you didn't know this, folks, anything that's electronic in your home, if it has a power cord attached to it, it is recyclable. So there's recyclers around where you can take it and you can take your printer and whatever, and you can put it in their sheet iron pile, and they'll give you a little bit of money for it. So I mean, you could hire us and we'll do it too. But but if you want to make a few bucks, there's a few places like that around there where you can take your old recyclables like that, and they break it down and they make sure that all the metal components are falling up in the right place, and then the plastic components get recycled the right way. And then anything that we can't recycle or donate, then ultimately will land up in the landfill. So you know, if we're doing, I'm really proud to say, like when we started, we weren't able to keep as much out of the landfill, but we're at a point where we do a full house clean out. About 50% of what we pull out of there is either donatable or recyclable. So that's pretty cool, I think.
Excellent. I did not know I had that much recyclables around my house.
Oh yeah, tons.
That's
like
incredible.
All your like almost everything in a kitchen, you know, pots, pans, glasses, you know, silverware, like everything in there is recyclable. There's tons of stuff in our homes every day. Clothing even, like you can take, you know, clothing if it's clean and it's not, you know, in bad shape. you can donate it, and it'll either go to go to somebody that needs it for clothing, or they take it and they shred it up and they turn it into stuffing for like couches and pillows and stuff like that. So it's just a matter of finding those resources and knowing where to take the stuff, I think.
So why is the donations, the recycling? It seems like it's a pretty important part of the way you do business. Why is that?
Well, I think that, I don't know. So when you open up a business, I think you start up in any community, like you have a choice to make, and it's, are you going to be just all about the business and profit, or are you going to try to do something positive in the community that you live in? Austin and I live around here. We've been Michigan guys our entire life. We love this area. We love the people that are around here, and I think it's important that we do things to keep things out of the landfill, to keep our state beautiful and as clean as possible. If you go to a landfill, like there's a lot of stuff up there. They're not necessarily nice places. And I feel like if we could all reduce a little bit of what winds up there, we could make a really big impact. And the other piece is we like to help out in our communities, like those organizations that I mentioned to you, like they're helping real people out in this community. And for us, it's like we're driving one way or we're driving another. We're not burning any more gas. So if we can put a little bit of good out into the world while we're also able to help out our customers, that's a win-win. So that's really kind of what we're looking at. And whenever we can find another resource to add to that portfolio, we're all about it, especially if it comes with a good cause behind it.
That's excellent. And that's my favorite part of this podcast, is finding out what makes leaders in the community tick, and sort of that buy-in of like, no, this isn't just a business for money. This is part of a larger sum.
Right. Yeah, so absolutely.
I guess, how did you arrive at, I want to do junk removal? Why just tell me about that.
All right. So that's a good story. So my partner, Austin, and I, Austin he's my cousin. We don't I should say he married my cousin. So, we're cousins through marriage. I've known him for over 15 years. And, right at kind of the beginning of COVID, when that was starting to strike, I guess a little bit before it, him and I were kind of in a similar position. We both had, long-term careers, like this is my second career now. So Austin came up in the home service industry. He did like heating and cooling. He worked on like gas station fuel systems and that sort of thing. And I came from a retail background. So I did 23 years in retail. I did loss prevention and profit protection for companies. And I did a lot of, like traveling around and helping out other business owners to figure out how to make more money with what they do, and also to mitigate theft and stuff. So the two of us kind of wound up in a similar position where we were just overworked and burned out and tired. Like I think one of the things that happens, and don't get me wrong, like we both learned a ton through our careers, and that's probably the reason we're able to do what we're doing now. But we both wound up in a position where we were burned out, and we felt like we were a little bit taken advantage of, because we're both hard workers and put a lot in, and that can happen from time to time. And we said, there might be another way to do this. Both of us wanted some more time back with our families to explore other hobbies than work. And we wanted to get into something where we could help the community out. So we'd sit around bonfires on Friday nights and we basically, just be complaining about our weeks and how, we kind of were not enjoying what we were doing. And we both kind of came to a conclusion at the same time. I was like, well, like, why can't we do this on our own? Like I've got a business background. He has a very operational background. We're both hard workers. We both have the same mindset. And little did we know when we started talking about it that we were both already looking for a way out. So Austin kind of landed on the junk removal space, So like here's another thing. Like if you want to be a small business owner or whatever, like start watching some YouTube videos, because all the content and the knowledge that you need, at least to get started in whatever industry you'd be interested in, is out there and available on YouTube. So we were looking at like different options. Junk removal wasn't the number one option at the beginning. We were looking at, okay, maybe house cleaning, maybe lawns, maybe, something home service. We landed on junk removal because number one, it was a low barrier to entry. Basically, when we started, we both put $4,500 into a bank account and had a pickup truck. We're like, let's buy a trailer and get this going. So, it was a relatively low barrier to entry, but this is also a space where we know we're going to be able to help people. We know that the baby boomer generation is in the process of starting to downsize. So there's a large customer base that's there available for us to tap into for maybe the next 20 years. And it's also a space where we thought that we could differentiate ourselves from some of the competition that's out there by being, number one, a local company that's really getting ingrained in the community. And two, by offering an exceptional guest experience. When someone gets on the phone with us, like if you want to talk through what you have and you want to get a quote over the phone, a lot of our competitors might not do something like that, but we'll talk through, what you have, and we'll give you a ranged estimate over the phone. We believe in transparency, and we think that a lot of the people that live in this community like transparency. So we try to, gear everything towards that. But I mean, so junk removal, I would say as a space, it's not something that we particularly are like, oh my gosh, we love junk removal. But we said, where can we make a difference? Where can we start easily, and start figuring things out in terms of business, and how can we help the community out? And that's how we landed here. And 2 years later, we're still running. We just hired our first employee this week, and he's doing great. So we're really excited for what the future has to hold.
Well, hey, congratulations on that, man. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, talking about changing times, the baby boomer generation, downsizing, also people spending a lot more time indoors over the last couple of years. Has that been an important point for your business too, of just the way changing the way people look at their space? Sure.
Yeah. And I think that honestly, like COVID probably helped this industry out a little bit, because people being stuck in their spaces with all of that junk that maybe they've accumulated over 30 years and never thought about, like made them think about it and attack some more projects than they might otherwise not have. And I think there's also a lot going on around mental wellness now, and the idea of, like living in a cluttered space and not being able to find the things that you need, or not even knowing what you have sometimes, like that's a big deal. Like it's a relieving process to open up your space and get it back, so that played a big factor in us going that route. Just along with the other part of knowing that there's a big customer base out there that's in the process of downsizing, and knowing also that generation is a generation of collectors. So they have a lot of stuff that needs to be managed. And I don't know about you, but I don't like collecting a lot of stuff. I like keeping my space clean. So I don't like when my parents decide to downsize, I don't want all their stuff. So,
Yeah, no, my parents are both pack rats. I am the exact opposite. I'll throw away too much, just to keep the space clean. But speaking of throwing things away, I need to ask you about some of the I don't want to say horror stories, but some of the things that you'll see just when you go in to remove, because I know you guys go into situations where there might have been hoarding or some dangerous overcrowding of items. So talk to me about that aspect of your business.
Sure. There's I don't know, there's the kind of scary stuff we come across, and then there's the cool stuff we come across. So, we'll come across, we'll come across dead animals sometimes when we're doing a clean out. Like if we get into we'll do sheds and barns, outdoor areas. So we come across, dead mice is like an everyday thing, but I've come across a dead cat in someone's basement before, like rabbits and that kind of stuff. So there's all kinds of weird stuff like that we deal with on the regular, and live animals, honestly. My partner Austin laughs at me because if a live animal pops out of a hole, I'll be like, but like possums and rabbits and stuff we're interacting with that stuff all the time. But there's a lot of cool stuff that we find on jobs too, my partner Austin, he has a 7.5-foot black bear in his garage right now, a black bear mount from a job that we did because the guy had passed away and we were cleaning out the estate. His kids were, they were out of state in a whole other area, and they just didn't want this black bear. And we grew up in this area. We're both, hunters and gamesmen. We're like, we can't see putting this awesome 7.5-foot beautiful piece of taxidermy in the landfill. So, he's got that in his garage right now. It's kind of cool that we're able to save that. The car that I drove here today was one that I got from a clean out we were doing for somebody else. It's like a 1986, and you wouldn't think that an 86 car, something with 37 years on it would still be good, but it didn't even have 90,000 miles on it. So, I bought it off the owner for a reasonable price, and, now it's my daily driver when I'm not driving the truck, so also Austin and I, we like to have a little bit of fun. So we come across like dolls and stuff like that. Like we've had some posts out there on our social media, about just creepy dolls that we've come across, and Austin's made some funny videos, with them. Like we came across one when we were working with one of our partners, the Betty Brigade, and it was a doll that had 3 different heads with 3 different faces on the head that had 3 different expressions on it. So it's like the many faces of junk removal, but when you're going through a home, and we're helping a lot of times. What we're doing is sorting through people's lives, you almost get to see a story of where they've been and what they've done. And there's cool things that they collected. And, so if the family doesn't want it, we're able to a lot of times get that to a good destination, or if it's something cool enough, we keep it ourselves. So
that's fantastic, man. So I guess, talking about, you just hired your first employee. It's that's awesome. What are your plans for 2023?
Our plans, we got big plans for 2023. This is our first year we're able to hire and really start scaling beyond Austin and I. So, our plan is to probably hire a couple of more people. We want to get an actual dump truck this year. Right now we're running pickup trucks and dump trailers, but we want to get an actual dump truck going this year and get a couple of teams out there. We would love to find another organization or two that can help us, number one, keep things out of the landfill, and two, contribute to some sort of a charitable cause in the community. If we get to the end of the year and we've accomplished those things, I'm going to call it a win. Our ultimate goal, further down the line, is I would love to get this to a point where we've got 4 or 5 trucks and crews running around Southeast Michigan, helping out people all over the place. That's kind of our goal, is to get to where we have a little bit bigger footprint than Brighton and Howell, because we're trying to own this area right now, but we'd like to spread out and get more into Ann Arbor and stuff like that. So we have big visions of growth as we continue down the path that we're on.
That is excellent, man. Well, we're rooting for you. So
I appreciate
thank you
that.
again for joining us on the show. Is there anything you wanted to add before we signed off? Or is there any way, I guess, if someone is interested in your services, what would be the best way to get hold of you?
Sure. So we like to meet our customers wherever they like to be met. So, you can call us. Our number is 734-648-5865, or that's 734-MIT-JUNK, if that helps you remember it. We've got a website, www.mitandjunkremoval.com. If you go on our website, there's a web form on there where you can just say, I want a quote or something, or, it comes to us via email. You can online book with us. We leave time slots open for people to say, hey, I want to see you at 8 a.m. on Tuesday. You can do that. You can text us at that number that I gave you earlier. We text back and forth. You can reach out to us on Facebook Messenger. So, wherever our customers, however you like to communicate, you want to talk on the phone, we'll do that. You just want to text back and forth, we'll do that too. So we'll figure it out, whatever works best for you.
And bring creepy dolls if you can.
Yeah, we love the creepy dolls. Bring them every day.
Excellent. Well, Mike, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Great having you.
Thanks a lot, Grant.
Awesome. All right. And we will be, and by we, I mean Rob, most likely. We'll be back next week with another episode of Brighton Chamber. My name is Grant Lefebvre. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good one.